Part 49. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 481. Zhang Zizai was really fed up with being suppressed by Ye Chen all the time, and then listening to the people around him making a fuss. The most frustrating thing was the predetermined Wuxian Fuzu. Zhang Zizai was extremely unhappy that he had to go through so much trouble to find the source of evolution first, and then pass it on in advance. It would be better to give it to this old Fuzu directly, and waste time on the 10,000 Fugui. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. He wanted to try it now. If he defeated this guy, he would see how wonderful the old Fuzu's face would be. The more he saw Ye Chen's proud look, the more annoyed he became. If I knew that you really took my daughter's things, I would kill you. I didn't hate this person so much before, but now I can't stand it anymore. He had already broken through to the 6th level of the Divine Seal realm, and it was really impossible for him to admit defeat. Just when everyone thought that Ye Chen was going to crush Zhang Zizai after experiencing the power of the new totem, and just when they were about to applaud, they didn't expect that Zhang Zizai was covered with black lightning and went crazy. 8 steps of soul-chasing lightning, 9-day thunder claws. 1 step, 1 claw, 1 step, 1 kill. His figure instantly penetrated the alien beast and rushed in front of Ye Chen. This guy was not good at close combat, so Zhang Zizai drilled into him madly. Ye Chen was very cold, and he threw out a heroic spirit talisman, an extreme cold wave talisman, and a heavenly calamity soul suppressing talisman, resisting, freezing, and piercing the soul. Among them, the hit rate of the heavenly calamity soul suppressing talisman was almost 100%, and Zhang Zizai's attack kept cutting off the heavenly calamity soul suppressing talisman. But even so, he was still like nothing happened, and he became more and more violent. Buzz. Ye Chen was caught up by the 8-step soul-chasing lightning again. Zhang Zizai had 100,000 black thunderbolts in his hand, forming a giant claw that tore through. Previously, he could not break through the defense of his heroic spirit talisman, but when the 3rd and 4th calamities began, Ye Chen could no longer be as relaxed as before. Evil Spirit Talisman. Not only Ye Chen had talismans, Zhang Zizai also had them. The number of his evil spirit talismans was similar to that of the opponent's heroic spirit talisman, and the power was similar. When the opponent continued to resist with heroic spirit talismans, Zhang Zizai's evil spirit talisman army also rushed forward fiercely. I can't tell that you really have some skills, Ye Chen sneered, still having infinite confidence in himself. Just some. Zhang Zizai tore everything apart again, got rid of the pursuit of countless strange beasts, and rushed to his eyes again. More and more black lightning condensed on his body. 6th calamity. The 8-step soul-chasing lightning also caught up to the 6th step. This time the flashing speed was the fastest, and the paralysis caused to Ye Chen was also greater. Ye Chen seems to be in danger. Don't worry, he still has many trump cards. Look, the Death Storm Talisman. At the moment when he was suppressed by Zhang Zizai, Ye Chen's mouth corners curved and he played a grey talisman again. This grey talisman turned into a grey storm, sweeping over and cutting on the body, and the flesh and blood were corroded immediately. The effect was very similar to the Death Evolution source. But this storm was too big, sweeping the entire Xuanhuan. Ye Chen was still playing all kinds of talismans as if he didn't need money. From the beginning to now, there are nearly 20 kinds. It must be said that he is a super genius in this area. But for Zhang Zizai, a talisman master is a talisman master, and fighting is fighting. In fighting, Zhang Zizai is more talented. The 7th calamity, the 8-step soul-chasing lightning allowed him to move forward at the most terrifying speed. He penetrated the death storm, and Zhang Zizai rushed to Ye Chen's eyes again, bearing the pain of the flesh and blood all over his body. The 9 heavens tribulation thunder claw caused a thunderbolt, which cut Ye Chen's body again. Ye Chen's heroic spirit talisman is endless, and there are also various healing talismans, but this time, the power of Zhang Zizai's 9 Heavens Tribulation Thunderclaw directly tore everything apart, leaving scratches on his body. Not bad even at this time, he was confident. Waste the power of the Totem Seal, and fight purely with talismans, is a waste of your own talent. Zhang Zizai figured him out. He was a weirdo, and he did not maximize the advantage of his realm improvement. How can you, a shallow person, know my fortune? Ye Chen grinned. He still had a large number of talismans in his hands, and countless strange beasts rushed over again. The injuries they caused to Zhang Zizai were very difficult to heal, but Ye Chen had already used talismans to recover his wounds. People saw that Ye Chen was still powerful. Zhang Zizai, the donkey in the valley, has run out of tricks. Amid the cheers of the crowd, Ye Chen seemed to be helped by God. What good fortune do you have? Keep pretending to be awesome. Zhang Zizai was dead. If this kind of person is not treated, he really doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. 8-step soul chasing lightning, the last step. Under the sweep of 2 death storm talismans, even if he used the 8-step soul chasing lightning to reach Ye Chen, his body was already very injured. But this is Zhang Zizai's last chance. In fact, before this, he almost didn't use all his strength. He saw Ye Chen's still proud and confident smile. But Ye Chen didn't know that his swallowing field was really not vegetarian. Although it seemed that the effect was not obvious, in fact, Zhang Zizai had already swallowed a lot of power from it and condensed it in his palm. The 8th calamity. 9 Heavens Tribulation Thunderclaw. Thunder fell from the sky, and the surging killing move hit Ye Chen head on. Stronger than the 7th calamity. Ye Chen smiled and used the heroic spirit talisman to dissolve it again. Of course, Zhang Zizai still hurt him, but he didn't care because he could still recover. But he didn't expect that one step would bring one disaster, and the last step would be 2 attacks. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. The 9th disaster. This was the last attack of the 9 Heavens Tribulation Thunderclaw, which was the aggregation of all previous attacks. Behind Zhang Zizai, countless black thunders were entangled, and almost a Kylan phantom composed of lightning was born. Countless black thunders condensed on the arm and tore it again. While dodging, Ye Chen said, "I know you have used up your moves. You can't deal with me this time. It's my turn to attack again." He did not underestimate Zhang Zizai, and this time he used all his skills. Kun level talisman, living shield talisman. Unexpectedly, he used another talisman, which was the immortal talisman system. In front of him, he gathered a lot of power and raised a huge golden shield. Under Zhang Zizai's 9th calamity, the great shield of life was torn on the spot. After all, Zhang Zizai's power in this move was too great. However, the lethality caused to Ye Chen was much lower than Zhang Zizai expected. He thought he could defeat him. Haha, after escaping death, Ye Chen laughed, because it was his turn to perform again. Zhang Zizai's 8 steps and 9 calamities have been fully performed. Are you ready? Ye Chen hadn't fought so happily for a long time, so he laughed for the first time. But at this moment, Zhang Zizai also laughed. Ready, his right arm, on the ancient god mark, condensed a lot of power. Part of it was the power from Ye Chen brought by the devouring domain. Part of it was the power of the ancient god mark itself. Part of it was the power of the totem god mark. And the last part, that was the power from the black eyeball, which did not withdraw in the end and was locked in the ancient god mark. This part of the power can burst out at once. Your internal decision. Zhang Zizai, with his strongest punch, moved heaven and earth. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 482. The ancient god mark is a very strange thing. It has changed on Zhang Zizai's body a long time ago. It should be changed by his totem. It is absolutely not the case that the more loyal, the stronger the power. It is no longer an ordinary ancient god mark. Zhang Zizai can only use it, but he can't understand it in depth. For example, this time, it can actually store the ownerless power from the black eyeball, which is also incredible. Zhang Zizai didn't think too much. Since this part of the power exists, he will use it, mix it with other powers at this moment, and burst out together. This move of the Eternal God Fist is the strongest Eternal God Fist that Zhang Zizai has ever used. I don't know how many times stronger it is than before. That kind of power even shocked him. Not to mention Ye Chen, when he was selecting a large number of attack talismans and preparing to get rid of Zhang Zizai, he saw that this opponent was full of cold demonic energy, in the dark, like an ancient demon god, and punched this punch. That punch made Ye Chen's soul tremble. He felt that it was not human power, but God's power. Living Shield Talisman. He had just learned this talisman, and had only prepared 3 in total. The remaining 2 were used in a hurry, and they were superimposed twice. Next, the Eternal God Fist and the Living Shield Talisman collided head-on. Crack! The 2 Living Shield Talismans shattered directly, and the terrifying power of the Eternal God Fist directly bombarded Ye Chen's body. No more heroic spirit talismans could stop it at this time. Bang! Ye Chen hit the talisman pillar, and the majestic power caused his bones to break, his flesh and blood to tremble, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. The power of Zhang Zizai's totem seal still remained on him. The next moment, Zhang Zizai had appeared in front of him, and the magic eye sword in his hand pierced his throat, locking him tightly on the talisman pillar. Ugh! Ye Chen spurted blood again and almost fell to the ground. With pale eyes, he stared at Zhang Zizai blankly, and had to hold the talisman pillar behind him with both hands to barely stand. Zhang Zizai. He raised his head with all his strength, and his whole body was trembling, as if he still hadn't reacted. Let alone him, now the whole Wanfu Island was in a dead silence, a dark mass of people, all with dull eyes, looking at the 2 people on the Wanfu stage, and even many people couldn't help wiping their eyes. The dead silence lasted for a long time. This, who lost, why can't I understand? Many people looked at the people around them for help, probably wanting to get different answers. However, when seeing that everyone was like this, that was the fact, in front of the fact, people could only tremble and watch all this. Zhang Zizai defeated Ye Chen. In the crowd, Ning Fan almost fainted. He grabbed Shenhua's hand and looked at her blankly. I saw it too. Shenhua's voice trembled. Maybe there was only despair in their eyes. This is inappropriate. Some talisman generals were also shaking their heads at this time. It was difficult for them to understand the meaning of an 18-year-old genius defeating a 23-year-old genius. People thought they were geniuses of the same level, but now it seems that they are at the same level. What level will Zhang Zizai be in 5 years? The tip of the sword of the magic eye has already explained everything. The tip of the sword is dripping blood. Ye Chen was also dripping blood all over his body. He tried his best to support the talisman column to stand, but everyone could see that his legs were shaking. Ye Dongyang, what's going on? Zhou Yuan, the wind erosion talisman king, looked ugly and stared at Ye Dongyang next to him. But Ye Dongyang's face was even uglier. He said, how should I know? You ask me, who should I ask? Everyone was ready to celebrate for Ye Chen tonight. Now the scene on the Wanfu stage disrupted everyone's plan. How can this Zhang Zizai be so terrible? Is he still a human being? Thunder Plague Talisman King gritted his teeth. They were all laughing, but now, their faces were more ugly than each other. No one came out to announce that the battle was over. Even Tianya himself was a little confused at this time. In fact, he had given up hope a long time ago. After all, the old talisman master's meaning was very obvious, but Zhang Zizai's sudden behavior made him a little confused. Everyone was still looking at them. Zhang Zizai was wondering, the victory and defeat were so obvious, why didn't anyone stand up to speak? Just announce the end of the 10,000 Talismans Club. Zhang Zizai suddenly, Ye Chen struggled to call himself, his voice was very weak, and when Zhang Zizai stared at him, a strange smile appeared on his face. If you have anything to say, let it out, Zhang Zizai said. I put the bell in a place where you will never find it. If you win today, I promise that you will never get it in your life. Even if I die, you can't get it, Ye Chen said with a strange smile. Sure enough, he took it away. This bitch didn't admit it just now. Before Zhang Zizai could say anything, he continued, don't spread this matter. They won't believe you. You make the decision. I'm a very direct and straightforward person. You just perform and the bell will be back in your hands tonight. If you insist on winning, I'm sorry, I'm a stubborn person. If you offend me, I'll make it impossible for you to find me again. No one can help. If I lose today, it's the same as death. I don't mind dying here. While he was talking, he smiled and thrust his neck forward, stabbing directly into the tip of Zhang Zizai's sword. He kept moving forward. If he continued like this, the magic eye would pierce his neck. Did you hear that? I'm about to die, and you're still in the mood to think about it. It seems that the thing is not important enough to you, Ye Chen whispered. Once I die, the thing will disappear from this world. You will regret it, Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai took a deep breath. To be honest, he felt that Ye Chen must be a pervert. He was really amazing, so he threatened in this way at this time. If he didn't let him win, he would die, so that Zhang Zizai would never get that thing in his life. After he lost, he was not fair at all. It seems normal for such a lonely and proud person like him to be so weird. But Zhang Zizai was depressed. He finally defeated him, but he had to be threatened by him. He really wanted to stab him to death now, but where was the bell? Without that thing, she would be killed by the reincarnation calamity. The thing Zhang Zizai couldn't joke about the most was his daughter's life. So, he actually had no choice. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 483. The stalemate on the 10,000 Talisman platform lasted for more than 10 breaths. The outcome has been decided, and there is no need to say more. This result makes many people in Wuxian Talisman very uncomfortable. It's just that people don't know that there is such a confrontation between Ye Chen and Zhang Zizai. I'll give you one last chance. Do I want the Wuxian Talisman, or do I want your things? Ye Chen sneered miserably, but he actually continued to move forward, letting Zhang Zizai's demonic eye completely pierce his neck. Come to my fire cloud island to get it tonight. As he spoke, a talisman suddenly appeared in his hand. He is a totem talisman master. Even if his body is seriously injured, it is very easy for him to activate the talisman. Before Zhang Zizai made a choice, he took advantage of his trance and instantly activated the talisman in his hand. Deathstorm Talisman. This was a very close use, and Zhang Zizai didn't completely defeat him, allowing him to find this opportunity. The Deathstorm Talisman erupted, and at such a close position, Zhang Zizai could only avoid it. Moreover, he was hiding very awkwardly. Ye Chen could be said to be very disgusted. He gave Zhang Zizai a choice, and then took advantage of his entanglement to directly counterattack. Although he was injured, he still had a lot of talismans on his body. At this time, when he counterattacked and found an opportunity, he pinched out a large number of talismans and attacked Zhang Zizai like crazy. The Wuxian talisman is mine, and your things are returned to you. Everyone is happy. Zhang Zizai, haven't you thought clearly yet? Ye Chen smiled coldly. Such a change caused an uproar throughout the Wanfu terrace. To be honest, they thought it was a bit shameless to take action after defeat, but when they thought this person was Ye Chen, they could accept it in their hearts. Ye Chen found an opportunity and used the talisman to bombard him again. Zhang Zizai has already used the ancient god's mark, and the opponent is already very strong. If he wants to defeat him again, he will have to expend some energy. Zhang Zizai thought about this situation seriously. Even if I give him the Wuxian talisman, I may not have a chance in the future, but I have to get back the bell. If I don't take good care of my daughter, even if I can see the 9 immortals in the future, I'm afraid I won't know how to explain to her. Forced by the situation, Zhang Zizai made a move that left everyone confused. He suddenly stopped and said calmly, "You are indeed powerful. I think I am no match for you, so I admit defeat." I accept. Ye Chen also stopped attacking, held his hands and smiled. The two people's eyes met. Zhang Zizai's eyes were very cold. He needed to let the other person understand what price he would pay if he didn't return the things to him tonight. Did Zhang Zizai admit defeat? For a moment, everyone had a look of astonishment on their faces. Including Ye Dongyang and the other Fu kings, because they all knew that Ye Chen had actually been defeated just now. But now Zhang Zizai takes the initiative to admit defeat. What's going on? Although Ye Chen has a chance to counterattack, everyone knows that under the trauma, he will soon be suppressed by Zhang Zizai. The outcome has already been decided. Everyone could see that Ye Chen was no match for Zhang Zizai today. Zhang Zizai's admission of defeat was obviously a lie. He was unscathed, so why should he admit defeat? At this time, everyone on Wanfu Island widened their eyes and looked at the two people on the Wanfu platform in disbelief. "Hey, what are you doing?" Tianya appeared next to Zhang Zizai. He was so anxious that he felt extremely happy and sad. Ye Chen's disgust was that he didn't want Zhang Zizai to spread the word, so when Tianya smelled it, Ye Chen's face was full of warning. "I didn't expect that he could counterattack. I am no match," Zhang Zizai said. "Are you stupid?" Tianya was depressed. He couldn't understand why Zhang Zizai would give away the meat he got. And it's free. He feels sorry for his divine printing fluid. It's okay if you don't win, but if you win, you lose on purpose. Moreover, even a child can see that he is actually the winner. Everything is incredible. "Papa," at this moment, someone clapped behind him, and Zhang Zizai's spine went cold. He suddenly turned around and saw a short, stooped old man with no dark spots and wrinkles on his face standing there. Behind him, he had white hair, all his teeth had fallen out, and he looked like he was going to die at any moment. However, his applause was quite powerful. "Greetings to the Master Wuxian Talisman." For a moment, all the members of the Life and Death Talisman sect, led by Tianya and the 4 Talisman Kings, all saluted. Ye Chen was the first to get to the moon near the water tower. Zhang Zizai had never seen this Wuxian Talisman Master before, so he didn't react for a while. The Wuxian Talisman Master's eyes fell on Zhang Zizai and Ye Chen, and he waved his hands at the same time to let people refrain from courtesy. "Fu Master, I think there is a problem with this duel," Tianya said quickly. The old Talisman Master appeared at this time, and he clearly believed that the outcome had been decided. "No problem, Zhang Zizai did the right thing unexpectedly," the old man said such words with a smile, which made Tianya even more confused. This old man's appearance and aura are very ordinary. He is the kind of person who can catch a lot of people in Daejiang King City. It seems that he will return to the west in a few days. "How is it okay?" Tianya asked unwillingly. "Tianya, I went out during this time. In addition to looking for the source of evolution, I also heard some news about the divine section. I went to the Far East, where there is a place called Mist Island. Unfortunately, after I arrived, I heard that you brought Zhang Zizai back to the Fu Si," the old Fu master said with a smile. Okay, Tianya was helpless. He originally wanted to hide the immortal talisman and wanted Zhang Zizai to get the lifeless talisman to see if he could combine the two. But now it is obvious that the old Fu master already knows that Zhang Zizai has inherited the immortal talisman. Then, it is obvious that the old Fu master will never give the lifeless talisman to Zhang Zizai again. After all, he is the lifeless talisman master, and he doesn't want to pass the lifeless talisman to the immortal talisman system. You chose to admit defeat because you were reminded. Tianya stood next to Zhang Zizai and could only smile bitterly. Zhang Zizai pursed his lips and did not answer. In fact, he was more depressed. He was originally threatened by Ye Chen, but in the end, the old Fu master had no intention of giving him the lifeless talisman. Even if he didn't listen to Ye Chen's threats and defeated him and threw him down, he probably wouldn't be able to get the immortal talisman. This 10,000 talismans meeting is really a joke. Only Tianya and Zhang Zizai could understand what the old talisman master said about the Far East. Others were still confused, including Ye Dongyang. When everyone was confused, the old talisman master smiled and said, "Today is the luckiest day for our life and death talisman sect, and it is also an extremely important thing. After tens of thousands of years, we have finally waited for this day." Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 484. Master, what luck do you have? Asked Xuanhuan, the wind erosion master. Because, our life and death talisman sect is finally back, the old master laughed. Everyone stared at each other with wide eyes. What on earth did the old master mean by being so happy? What does master talisman mean? Ye Dongyang glanced at Zhang Zizai, probably guessing. 10,000 years ago, the immortal master of that generation, Gasu Master Talisman, disappeared and took away the immortal talisman, causing one of the two great talismans of our life and death talisman sect to disappear for 10,000 years. 10,000 years later, Zhang Zizai, who grew up in the Yanlong dynasty in the Far East, got the inheritance of Gasu Master Talisman and inherited the immortal talisman. The immortal talisman has finally returned to our Fuhe, the old master announced with a smile on his face. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. After saying this, everyone on the 10,000 talisman platform was stunned again. Especially the people of the immortal talisman system, including Tianyu and Yeyu, all stared at Zhang Zizai with wide eyes, and then looked at Tianya. Tianya, you knew it a long time ago, but you kept it from us and let him compete for the immortal talisman. Ye Dongyang smiled. That's not the case. The purpose of letting him participate in the 10,000 Talismans conference is just to prove to you that the inheritor of our immortal talisman is even better than your immortal talisman system. The final result also proves this point. If he hadn't deliberately admitted defeat, would Ye Chen have had a chance to win? Tianya smiled. It seems that everyone is happy. Everyone didn't know about Tianya's change of mind, and thought it was like this. They finally understood why Zhang Zizai suddenly admitted defeat at the last moment. It turned out that he was already the inheritor of the immortal talisman. The new immortal talisman master. After disappearing for 10,000 years, the life and death talisman master appeared again. It was because of the disappearance of the immortal talisman that the life and death talisman sect fell to the point where it is today, and the entire immortal talisman system was almost destroyed. So, in fact, just now, Zhang Zizai was stronger than Ye Chen. He deliberately admitted defeat so that Ye Chen could inherit the Wuxian Fu. So, we really misjudged Zhang Zizai. We thought he was the son of the ancient gods, but unexpectedly, he had already inherited the immortal talisman and had long been a member of our life and death Fu section. Various passionate discussions rang out. This change in the situation was beyond Zhang Zizai's expectations. Until now, Lian Tianya believed that he had just admitted defeat because he had received an order from the old Fuzo to give up the Wuxian Fu. Zhang Zizai, congratulations. In the future, with you and Ye Chen, the Wuxian Fu system and the Immortal Fu system will have a chance to revive. Ye Donjiang's tone changed a lot. For him, although people saw that Ye Chen was defeated, the old Fuzhou would obviously let Ye Chen be the new Wuxian Fuzhou, and his goal would be achieved. The Life and Death Fu sect has a chance to revive, and as the Fuzhou king, he does not reject it. With the immortal Fuzhou, the disciples of the Life and Death Fu sect can also recognize Zhang Zizai more. Being able to inherit the immortal talisman means that the immortal talisman has chosen Zhang Zizai, so he is a member of our Life and Death Talisman sect, from the beginning. I just saw that many people have some opinions about Zhang Zizai, but from today on, everyone needs to put aside their prejudices. We have been in decline for 10,000 years, and it is time to support Ye Chen and Zhang Zizai and work hard to revive our Life and Death Talisman section, the old talisman master said earnestly. He looks like a very kind old man. But what he said is very important. Support Zhang Zizai. Some people in the crowd looked very ugly. They probably knew that they would never get revenge in this life. They are Jing Qing, Jing Xian, Ning Fan, Ning Suiyu, and others. They looked around. At this time, the disciples of the entire Wanfu Island were very excited. Of course, they hoped that the Life and Death Talisman sect could return to the ranks of the four major forces. They were tired of shrinking in the sea of talismans for so many years. The more excited they were, the more gloomy Ning Fan's face became. He looked at the young man who was high above the Wanfu stage, and his heart was infinitely depressed. Ye Chen, Zhang Zizai. Even at this time, some people began to cheer, excited about the future prospects of the Life and Death Talisman sect. The return of the immortal talisman is the best opportunity for revival. Tianya, today is the time to call back those immortal talisman branches that have drifted to various places in the origin continent. This task is left to you. Talisman Master, don't worry, Zhang Zizai's talent and reputation are enough to make them tempted. Tianya nodded. He was not as excited as others, because he had known about the immortal talisman for a long time. Today, he even felt a little regretful, because he wanted Zhang Zizai to inherit the lifeless talisman. It's a pity that the old talisman master found out. The old talisman master must know his real purpose, but he didn't expose it, which was already very face-saving. Indeed, it was beyond my expectation that I could defeat Ye Chen today. The old talisman master nodded, and his words were the greatest reward for Zhang Zizai. When those immortal talisman branches heard that he defeated Ye Chen, they would definitely return in droves. By then, the strength of our talisman sea will be greatly increased. Immediately Ye Dongyang sighed. Although he was unhappy, Zhang Zizai was stronger and could indeed use Ye Chen as a springboard. Ye Chen is not bad, but he has not yet inherited the Wuxian talisman. I will pass it on to him today. His progress and future are also promising. The old talisman master looked at Ye Chen and smiled with great satisfaction. It was agreed before that he would inherit it on the spot, so at this time, the old talisman master said, "You guys go aside first, I will pass on the Wuxian talisman of the 6 great divine talismans to Ye Chen." "Thank you, talisman master." Ye Chen knelt on the ground excitedly. "Don't thank me. You will have a lot of burdens in the future. Remember everything I taught you. In the future, you must supervise each other with the immortal talisman master." The talisman master of the Life and Death Talisman Master is based on the 2 great divine talismans of the No-Life Talisman and the Immortal Talisman. In other words, Zhang Zizai is now the new generation of the Immortal Talisman Master. Although he does not have the strength of the Xuanhuan Chushan, in terms of status, he is equivalent to the Xuanhuan Chushan and is qualified to command the Life and Death Talisman sect. Of course, as the Immortal Talisman Master, he commands the Immortal Talisman system, and there are not many people in the Immortal Talisman system for the time being. The No-Life Talisman was given to Ye Chen, and Ye Chen would be stronger. The old Talisman Master is no longer the No-Life Talisman Master. Of course, his strength and status are definitely above Zhang Zizai and Ye Chen, and that is a status that does not need the No-Life Talisman. Next, People stared with wide eyes and watched the old talisman master begin to pass on the no-life talisman. Just wait and see. Even if he has inherited it beforehand, the inheritance of the immortal talisman may not be successful. It must be recognized by the immortal talisman itself. The inheritance of the old generation can only increase his inheritance probability to 70% or 80%. Tianya said in Zhang Zizai's ear. 70% or 80%, that's already very high, right? Indeed, after all, if there is no inheritance, the probability of inheritance is less than 1 in 10 million. Tianya said. He looked at Zhang Zizai and said, so you know how rare it is for you to inherit the immortal talisman. No one in the life and death talisman sect dares to compete for it, because the recognition of the immortal talisman is our destiny. So that's it? So, can Ye Chen inherit successfully? I have some personal matters to deal with in the past 2 days, so the update is a bit unstable. Please forgive me. I will update twice today, and there should be updates in the afternoon and evening. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 485. Under the extremely envious eyes of the disciples of the Life and Death Talisman sect, the old talisman master passed on the Wuxian talisman to Ye Chen on the spot, passing on the position of the Wuxian talisman master to the young man. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. It may take several decades before Ye Chen can become a true Wuxian talisman master with the strength of the first god realm, but once he succeeds, he can benefit the life and death talisman sect for hundreds of years. Coupled with Zhang Zizai, when the life and death Fu sect has these two top figures, there will be absolutely no problem in its future development and revival. Fu Hai was in a hot mood. As for the decisive battle of Wanfu society, no one cares about Zhang Zizai's defeat of Ye Chen. Because they really felt that it was more appropriate for Ye Chen to inherit the Wuxian talisman. How could Zhang Zizai possess 2 talismans by himself? The inheritance would probably not be successful. As for the original rules of the Wanfu society, no one bothered to think about it in the face of the fact that everyone is happy. The Wuxian talisman is on the chest of the old talisman master. He is already quite old. It was a black talisman, which looked as complicated as the immortality talisman. When the old talisman took out the immortality talisman from his chest, there was a breath of death that simply moved people. When the Wuxian talisman appeared, the flowers, plants and trees on the entire Wanfu island were withering. The world between heaven and earth was reduced to a dead world at this moment. Zhang Zizai looked depressed. Things that clearly belonged to him were lost inexplicably. The old talisman master said, Ye Chen, today I will pass on the inanimate talisman to you, and I will also pass on the mission and responsibility of our inanimate talisman to you. You will continue the will of the ancestors. Yes, talisman master, Ye Chen said excitedly. He saw the black Wuxian talisman above his head, which was the dream of all Fuhei disciples. Under the inanimate talisman, all living beings are dead and silent. From now on, you will be the talisman master. After the old talisman master said this, he placed the inanimate talisman on Ye Chen's chest. Buzz. For a moment, the black energy of the Wuxian talisman engulfed Ye Chen. Ye Chen's skin instantly turned pitch black, and his whole body was like black coal. In the midst of the black energy, Ye Chen's painful cry came out. It could be seen that he was struggling as hard as you can. Only when you can endure the pain of your muscles, bones, flesh and blood can you seek the supreme divine way, the old talisman master shouted loudly. Ye Chen is persisting. People's scalps were numb when they saw it. They didn't expect it to be so difficult to inherit the Wuxian talisman. It is said that if it was not inherited by the previous owner, it is very likely that the Wuxian talisman would backfire and die. The inanimate talisman and the immortal talisman are different. The inanimate talisman is a death talisman, while the immortal talisman is a life-saving talisman, Tianya said with emotion. He didn't have much regret. It seemed that he had accepted his fate. If the old talisman master knew that Zhang Zizai had the immortal talisman, it would be strange if he would pass it on. What is the specific effect of the Wuxian talisman? Zhang Zizai asked. No life talisman? Haven't you heard of it? I know a little bit, but I don't fully understand, Zhang Zizai said. While watching the tense inheritance process, Tianya said, compared to the immortal talisman, the use of the inanimate talisman is much more complicated. When you control the inanimate talisman and activate the inanimate talisman, you can transform yourself into an inanimate demonic body. The inanimate demonic body is a terrifying physique. After the inanimate talisman kills someone, the inanimate demonic body can absorb the opponent's dead soul for a short period of time and turn it into a kind of inanimate magic power, which is concentrated in itself. In terms of power, in that process, the more people you kill, the stronger the inanimate demonic body will be. It is said that this is infinitely superimposed. The more people you kill, the stronger you will be, and the stronger you will be at that time, and it can be superimposed infinitely. Do you have to kill them? Zhang Zizai asked in shock. Yes, the inanimate talisman is the most ferocious talisman among the 6 great talismans. It must kill people. If you don't kill people, the inanimate talisman has no effect at all. You must not only kill people, but also kill people crazily. Only then will you have the opportunity to continuously counterattack. It has happened in our history that when a generation of inanimate talisman masters were young, they killed hundreds of beings with higher realms than themselves. They kept killing people and getting stronger, and the inanimate demon body continued to increase in size, until it killed all the people, and the more people die, the stronger the inanimate magic power formed by the dead souls will be. This Wuxian talisman was indeed much more vicious than Zhang Zizai had imagined. If you don't kill people, it won't be of much use, Zhang Zizai asked. Not only is it useless, after activating the inanimate talisman, once no one is killed and no dead soul is absorbed, then the inanimate talisman will kill the host and absorb the host's dead soul. Change the owner, Tianya said. What? Zhang Zizai was surprised. He didn't know this. Not all of the 6 divine talismans are as gentle as the immortal talisman, Tianya said with a smile. Zhang Zizai thought about it, although this inanimate talisman was vicious, and it had to kill someone to use it. However, if it can be used in some extreme situations, the effect is already very good. After all, before the Wuxian talisman expires, the more you kill, the stronger you will become. It's a pity that Ye Chen inherited such a magical talisman at this time. About an hour later, with the help of the old talisman master and Ye Chen's persistence, the Wuxian talisman was finally inherited successfully. After succeeding, Ye Chen's evil aura became heavier and his eyes became gloomier, which vaguely suppressed Zhang Zizai. And the old talisman master looked even older. Ye Chen performed well. From now on, you are the new Wuxian talisman master, the old talisman master said happily. Thank you. Ye Chen knelt on the ground and bowed to the ground to show his gratitude. Greetings to Master Wuxian talisman. For a moment, the sea of talismans shook. Ye Chen enjoyed the admiration of the people and smiled. It was a feeling of being high above and in control of everything. The Wuxian Fu system had a large number of strong people, almost equivalent to the 2 divine palaces of the divine section. He was different from Zhang Zizai, he was in power. He glanced at Zhang Zizai with a smile on his face. Ye Chen, Zhang Zizai. The old Fu master summoned the 2. The 2 walked forward. From today on, each of you can practice in the Fire Life Sea for 15 days every month. Tomorrow is the first day of the month. Ye Chen will practice in the first half of the month, and Zhang Zizai will practice in the second half of the month. I will personally guide you to the old Fu master looked relieved. This ending must be a happy ending for everyone. Then there was another passionate long speech. The Fu kings all expressed their ideas, and the Wan Fu Club finally ended. From now on, it will be a hot practice. Tianya will also start to lead the immortal Fu system back to bring real power to Zhangzai. Tonight, Huoyun Island, I'll wait for you when leaving, Ye Chen said to Zhangzai with a weird expression. Even if he didn't say it, Zhangzai would have gone to him. The Wanfu Club finally disbanded. It's a pity, but this is fate. However, you can defeat Ye Chen, and you finally earned your face back Tianya's side. Zhangzai smiled, he wanted more than just face. Did the old Fu master ask you to admit defeat in advance? Tianya asked. Zhangzai nodded. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. Zhangzai was going to Huoyun Island tonight, and he was going with the bell himself. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 486. At Zhou time, Huoyun Island, Zhangzai came as promised. He felt that Ye Chen was a little strange. Tonight, will he return the things to him obediently, or will he plot something? In this matter, Ye Chen kept it a secret from Ye Dongyang and the others, and Zhangzai did not say hello to Tianya. So far, no one else knows that Ye Chen really took Zhangzai's things. However, this does not mean that Zhangzai will not make preparations. Before coming, he had brought the almost recovered golden divine ape out of the evolutionary realm. With the control of the beast taming talisman, he and the golden divine ape are connected by blood, and all of Zhangzai's instructions will be executed instantly. Zhangzai asked it to lurk and follow him, ready to be on call at any time. If anything happens, Zhangzai has the power to control it with the golden divine ape. He held the bell in his arms and landed on Huoyun Island. Zhou time was already late at night, and Huoyun Island was empty, without a single figure. Zhangzai used the 10,000 breath talisman and felt the presence of Ye Chen. We'll know what he wants to do soon. Zhangzai was calm and went over there. In the dark night, in a forest, there was a dark shadow standing there. The man was wearing a loose black robe and lowered his head. When Zhangzai appeared, he waved to Zhangzai. Daddy, I'm scared. Lingling shrank in his arms, not daring to look at Ye Chen. Playing tricks, Zhangzai was not afraid at all. He walked forward and stopped 10 feet in front of Ye Chen. He stretched out his hand and said, "It's time to fulfill your promise and return the things to me." "What promise?" "Everyone still thinks that you defeated me." Ye Chen raised his head slightly, his deep eyes were like the abyss, unfathomable, and no emotion could be seen. "You said it yourself, as long as you get the Wuxian talisman." "Ye Chen, don't play such boring things. It's of no benefit to us. You have already got the Wuxian talisman, and I have no intention of being your enemy," Zhangzai said seriously. This is what he really thinks. He has already succeeded in inheriting it. Zhangzai's possibility of getting it is close to zero. He is too lazy to waste his time. "I'm just kidding you," Ye Chen smiled. He moved his feet and walked towards Zhangzai. His eyes were fixed on the bell and he said, "Your daughter is really cute. Can you lend it to me to play with? This kind of joke will only make me want to beat you up again." Zhangzai's voice was cold. This guy was not honest. "So, you think you must be better than me? You know, I still have your handle in my hand," Ye Chen chuckled in a low voice. Zhangzai was angry. "You grandson, you won't cry until you see the coffin, right?" He really hadn't seen such a shameless person. The shamelessness of Xuanhuan Chushan and others was not the same type as this person. "But today I want you to lie in the coffin." Ye Chen suddenly raised his head, his eyes full of black air. Zhangzai felt that the black air on his body was surging and spreading in this instant. His skin was rapidly transforming into black gas, and the whole person was shrouded in a majestic breath of death. That was the breath of the Wuxian talisman during the day. When he was completely engulfed by the black gas and became like the god of death, how could Zhang Zizai not know that he actually activated the Wuxian talisman? Are you crazy? Zhang Zizai was stunned. When the Wuxian talisman came out, he had to kill someone. He actually wanted to kill himself? Why? He had already obtained the Wuxian talisman. This move was simply incomprehensible, and it could only make people think that he was really crazy. Just because he defeated him, he had to retaliate in this way? Sick. There was no time to sigh. When the other party had the Wuxian demon body, he had become stronger to a certain extent. He was already very strong. At this time, he had a murderous heart, and he was even more deadly. Before the Wuxian talisman killed someone, although the Wuxian magic power was limited, it was enough to increase Ye Chen's strength again, reaching the peak that was difficult to reach even at the 9th level of the Divine Seal realm. Moreover, the Wuxian magic power remaining in this Wuxian talisman could last for a while. Boom boom boom. He didn't have much time, so in order to kill Zhang Zizai, he was completely in a crazy state. He didn't care about any noise at all, he just wanted to kill in the shortest time. Various Kun-level talismans were shot out in his hands one after another, bombarding Zhang Zizai in this narrow range. After accumulating the lifeless magic power, even the talismans became stronger. Moreover, his own battle tactics were also used at this time. The terrifying power of the lifeless magic power could tear apart the power of Zhang Zizai's totem seal. Daddy, run. However, with the bell on him at this time, there was nothing to be afraid of. The bell turned into a little white dragon, entangled Zhang Zizai's neck, and flashed out directly, avoiding Ye Chen's bombardment of talismans and lifeless magic. Zhang Zizai was too lazy to fight him. This man was really sick. The things are still on him. He used the lifeless talisman. If he doesn't kill me, he will die. These 2 points prevented Zhang Zizai from leaving directly. You are looking for death yourself, don't blame me. Zhang Zizai was most concerned about his things, he didn't care about Ye Chen's life or death. Since this person wanted to kill him so desperately, Zhang Zizai didn't bother to be polite with him. He came prepared today. When he thought about it, the golden ape came out directly from the dark. He carried the totem black stick behind his back, and with its strength, it rushed up directly. Ye Chen's talismans hit its body, just like tickling. Bang! The golden ape easily punched Ye Chen to the ground. Ye Chen cried out in pain. When he got up, the golden ape had already grabbed his neck and blocked his body with great power. That was a totem magic of the golden ape. Under its suppression, Ye Chen could hardly move. He did not speak, but continued to look at Zhang Zizai with extremely ferocious eyes, his eyes full of murderous intent. You are sick. Zhang Zizai walked up and searched for the space jade pendant on him. There were a lot of talismans and classics in it. Zhang Zizai did not touch it. He searched around and finally saw that the bell thing was on him. Zhang Zizai took it out immediately. Pa! He slapped Ye Chen in the face and said, I told you not to take my daughter's things again. This slap knocked out several of Ye Chen's teeth. I will kill you, Ye Chen roared, looking at Zhang Zizai with ferocious eyes, but under the control of the golden ape, he could not move for a moment. You should think about how to escape the backlash of the lifeless talisman. Zhang Zizai hung the bell on his daughter, and the reincarnation calamity finally disappeared. He breathed a sigh of relief. Let's go. Next, let him take responsibility for his own impulse and let himself die. I have been busy with some personal matters these 2 days, and a few chapters of the manuscript have been lost. The update will not be too early tomorrow, probably around mid-afternoon. Come and see the update then. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 487. Zhang Zizai didn't have the ability to solve the problem of the Wuxian talisman, so he could only leave. As for how Ye Chen was born and died, it was all his own fault. So far, Zhang Zizai didn't know why he was crazy, and he actually used the Wuxian talisman like this. With the golden divine ape here, Ye Chen's level can't even think of meeting Zhang Zizai. He left first, and then let the golden divine ape leave. Zhang Zizai, you'd better not leave, otherwise you will taste the taste of losing your daughter. Ye Chen struggled frantically, looking at Zhang Zizai with gloomy eyes. Zhang Zizai's eyes were cold. If his current identity was not the master of the Wuxian talisman, he might really kill someone himself. He was really sick. In Ye Chen's state, the golden divine ape couldn't stop suppressing him at all, because as long as he let go, he would chase after him. This was also a headache for Zhang Zizai. He shouted like this, and sooner or later he would call others over. The current situation can be said to be very troublesome. The lifeless talisman gradually took effect, and when it could not absorb the dead souls, it gradually showed a more violent state. Ye Chen turned into a beast, with blood-red eyes, struggling and roaring constantly. If it were not for the golden divine ape holding him down, Zhang Zizai might have found it difficult to escape his pursuit. Zhang Zizai witnessed the power of the lifeless talisman with his own eyes. At this time, it can be seen that the totem pattern of the lifeless talisman on his chest has begun to expand, and the black pattern is like a poisonous snake all over his body. I will kill you. At this time, Ye Chen could no longer be rational. He completely became a killing machine, not afraid of his throat being torn, and screamed miserably. We have to leave quickly. If he doesn't leave, if he dies, he will be blamed on me. After all, there will be no evidence at that time, and the golden divine ape is still here. Zhang Zizai does not want to expose the existence of the golden divine ape for the time being. In a flash, the golden divine ape let Ye Chen go and rushed to Zhang Zizai. The thick arm hugged him around the waist, turned into a golden light, and left quickly. Don't even think about leaving, Ye Chen actually caught up with him. Now it was time for the Wuxian talisman to backfire. After shouting, Ye Chen's earth-shaking scream came from behind. Zhang Zizai looked back and saw that he had already kneeled on the ground. His whole body was rapidly aging, and he quickly turned from a young man into a skinny old man. He was trembling all over, and was still trembling, but the black lines of the Wuxian talisman had swallowed him up. Ah! In the shrill scream, he looked at Zhang Zizai with great resentment. What a resentful look, but why bother? He had just inherited the Wuxian talisman and had a bright future. In the future, he would be the real Wuxian talisman master. His actions today were really incomprehensible. No one can save him, unless someone suddenly comes to kill him, but at this point, it is estimated that killing people will not make Wuxian Fu regard him as a dead soul. Besides, even if Ye Chen is talented, it is not the responsibility of others to pay the price for his own misdeeds. He is finished. Zhang Zizai saw with his own eyes that he fell to the ground in a desperate roar, his eyes wide open, and he obviously died with his eyes open. A black talisman broke away from his chest and turned grey. Like the immortal talisman and the beast taming talisman, it will enter a cooling time after use. It is said that the cooling time of Wuxian Fu is longer. And after Ye Chen died, Wuxian Fu was already ownerless. Really dead. Zhang Zizai was a little dazed. This Ye Chen really died inexplicably. Daddy, is he asleep? Lingling didn't quite understand and asked with her head tilted. Yeah, Ye Chen was already dead. Zhang Zizai frowned, he actually had no intention of killing. However, the Wuxian talisman was suspended in place. He took another look and hesitated in his heart. This is my easiest chance to get the Wuxian talisman. The 6 great divine talismans are all things of ancient gods. Zhang Zizai has long envied the power of the Wuxian talisman, and this treasure should belong to him. Now that Ye Chen is dead, the Wuxian talisman is right in front of him. Wealth and honor are sought in danger. He understood the risk of taking the Wuxian talisman, but if he missed this opportunity, he would regret it more in the future. Thinking of this, he immediately ordered the golden divine ape to go back and bring the Wuxian talisman. In a blink of an eye, the grey Wuxian talisman appeared in his hand. It was time to leave. He planned to hide the Wuxian talisman first and put it in the hands of Lu Dingxing and others in the evolution realm. Even if Ye Dongyang and others suspected it, there would be no evidence. Holding the cold Wuxian talisman in his hand, Zhang Zizai felt cold. Compared to the immortal talisman, this is really an evil thing. However, seeing how complicated it was when Ye Chen inherited it, I am afraid it will not be so easy for me to master the immortal talisman in the future. Tianya said the probability is 1 in 10 million. He quickly put away the immortal talisman and prepared to leave. He suddenly remembered that when he inherited the immortal talisman and got the beast-taming talisman, it was very easy and he mastered it directly. There was no inheritance process at all. He was going to put the immortal talisman into the space jade pendant. At this juncture, the change happened again. The immortal talisman on the palm of his hand was not under control and directly escaped from Zhang Zizai's control. Then, the immortal talisman moved by itself and stuck directly to Zhang Zizai's chest, just to the left of the immortal talisman. After sticking it on, the two talismans were almost spliced together. Zhang Zizai suddenly discovered that when the two were spliced together, the totem patterns on them could also be connected together. It was as if the two talismans were originally together and were forcibly separated. In normal state, one is black and the other is green. What is this? The totem patterns on the Wuxian talisman began to extend and spread into Zhang Zizai's body, as if they were creating a Wuxian demon body. Once the Wuxian demon body is created, the Wuxian magic power can flow in the body. But, doesn't this process require the inheritance of the previous generation of Wuxian talisman master? During the day, the so-called inheritance is actually the old talisman master creating the Wuxian demon body in his body. The current situation is that the Wuxian talisman creates the Wuxian demon body in Zhang Zizai's body by itself, and there is no such thing as inheritance. It's against the will of heaven. He planned to hide the Wuxian talisman first, but now that the Wuxian talisman was directly inherited, the totem pattern spread very quickly in his body. In a blink of an eye, it was equivalent to a complete vein quickly forming in his body. That was another set of power system besides the power of the totem divine seal. With the Wuxian talisman as the core, the Wuxian demon body was formed. This is a great thing, but the trouble is that the Wuxian demon body is still quite conspicuous. With the strength of the Talisman King and the old Talisman Master, they can definitely easily see Zhang Zizai's Wuxian talisman. The Wuxian talisman is much more difficult to hide than the immortal talisman. What's more troublesome is that when the Wuxian talisman was inherited, there was a bigger movement, and the surging black air kept sweeping and soaring into the sky on this fire cloud island. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 488. Who's here? Just when Zhang Zizai was a little worried, trouble came. He heard Ye Dongyang's voice. Not only Ye Dongyang, but also other people came in a line. They not only saw the movement of the Wuxian talisman, but they should have heard the movement when Ye Chen took action before. In fact, until this time, Zhang Zizai still had a chance to leave, but the movement of the Wuxian talisman was too loud. His body was now like a flash of light. If he left in a hurry at this time, he would not be able to escape their pursuit. The direct inheritance of the Wuxian talisman was beyond Zhang Zizai's expectations, which led him into a dangerous situation. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Suddenly, Ye Dongyang, the king of Karma Fire Talisman, appeared in front, and many people behind him heard the sound and rushed over. What happened? I heard that Ye Chen was asking for help, and someone notified the Talisman King. The first thing Ye Dongyang saw when he arrived was Ye Chen lying on the ground, already dead, and Zhang Zizai was standing in the distance, about to leave. The black lines of the Wuxian talisman were wrapped around his body, and he was obviously inheriting the Wuxian talisman. What happened was clear at a glance. Zhang Zizai, you dare to kill Ye Chen and snatch the Wuxian talisman. Ye Dongjiang's eyes instantly turned blood red, and he was furious. Endless power came to suppress Zhang Zizai. You are really ambitious. The crime is unforgivable. Today I found that no one in heaven or on earth can save you. The disciple he trained with great effort finally waited for the day when he became the master of the Wuxian talisman. After inheriting the Wuxian talisman, the first day had not passed yet, and what was placed in front of him was Ye Chen's cold body. This is absolutely conclusive evidence. After he finished speaking, many people appeared behind him. Jing Qing, Ning Suiyu, Fan Dongliu and more than a dozen other talisman generals were all there. Ye Dongyang was holding a banquet on Huoming Island. Jing Qing and the others had already arrived and were preparing to have someone urge the main character of the day, Ye Chen, to go there earlier. Unexpectedly, such a shocking event had happened here. Ye Chen is dead. Zhang Zizai killed him and snatched the immortal talisman. Oh my god, this guy is crazy. Since ancient times, such a thing has never happened. Zhang Zizai. It was really ironic. Half a day ago, the Life and Death Talisman sect was still overjoyed, hoping that the two geniuses would revitalize the Life and Death Talisman sect in the future. It has only been a few hours, and one of them has killed the other. Talisman King, he must pay for his blood debt with blood. This man's heart is not in my Life and Death Talisman sect at all. The Immortal Talisman and the Immortal Talisman cannot fall into his hands, Jing Qing said indignantly. Kill him, perhaps only in this way can they relieve their hatred at this time. You don't need to tell me, I know what to do. Ye Dongjiang's eyes were cold. Seeing that Zhang Zizai obviously wanted to leave, he suppressed him directly. He was a strong man at the level of the Lord of the Beast God Palace, countless times stronger than Zhang Zizai. He was going to personally suppress and kill Zhang Zizai. It's a bargain for you to let someone like you die. Ye Dongjiang's heart was bleeding. Can I say that he used the Wuxian talisman to kill me, but failed to kill me, causing himself to be backlashed and killed, Zhang Zizai said coldly. Then how do you explain that you took the Wuxian talisman away? Ye Dongyang instantly towered over his head, his eyes extremely cold. He was thinking about how to send Zhang Zizai to the west, so that he could breathe in the future. He's already dead, and the Wuxian talisman is in front of me, so of course I have to try it, Zhang Zizai said frankly. But this tone of speaking makes people feel more like a provocation to Ye Dongyang. It seems that he is not afraid of death. Fu Hai is finished. These two Fu masters are going to be destroyed. If it gets out, it will be a big joke. Seeing this scene, some Fu generals couldn't help but sigh. This is all because of Zhang Zizai's madness. It has nothing to do with Ye Chen. He must pay with his life. Fu Hai will lose two geniuses, but as long as there is the lifeless talisman and the immortal talisman, there will be a chance to make a comeback, Jing Qing said seriously. In fact, he was a little happy in his heart. Now that Ye Chen is dead, the opportunity may come to his son. Ye Dongyang was full of momentum, and the fire was burning around him. The temperature between heaven and earth rose suddenly. Under his gaze, Zhang Zizai was like in a sea of fire. Whoosh! Ye Dongyang still attacked Zhang Zizai as the Fu King. He suppressed Zhang Zizai with one hand, and Zhang Zizai could not move. Even the bell could not take Zhang Zizai away. Both of them could only be trapped in this power. It seems that he not only wants to kill Zhang Zizai for revenge, but also wants to take the bell with him. Die! He pressed down on Zhang Zizai's head with his mighty power, like a huge mountain. Boom! Before Zhang Zizai was annihilated, a golden source beast suddenly appeared. It was a golden divine ape holding a black stick. The golden divine ape appeared suddenly with a monstrous momentum, and its momentum shook the world. And it was very violent. As soon as he appeared, he directly hit the mountain-like power with a stick, breaking Ye Dongjiang's attack. In a head-on confrontation, the golden divine ape seemed to have the strength to fight against Ye Dongyang. Then we had to leave quickly. Although we were discovered, we could save our lives first. Source Beast. What kind of source beast is this? How can there be a source beast in Fuhai? For a moment, there were bursts of shouts from behind Ye Dongyang. 10th grade source beast. Violent god ape. Didn't this kind of source beast disappear long ago? How could it appear in our Fuhai? It seems to be protecting Zhang Zizai. They saw clearly that Ye Dongyang continued to attack, and the violent god ape was resisting, blocking a lot of fatal damage for Zhang Zizai. The violent god ape was very violent, but at this time it seemed very stable. It would really attack when Zhang Zizai asked it to attack. Maybe Tianya can help me. Zhang Zizai was ready to fight and retreat, so he asked the violent god ape to block while retreating with him. Let's go together. Capture him first. Such a good opportunity, Jing Qing would not let it go. There were indeed many Fu generals who persuaded him to join him. More people were asking how this violent god ape appeared in a place like Fuhai. This is what her mother left behind to protect her. She has been with her all the time. Don't be surprised. Zhang Zizai naturally wanted to conceal the beast-controlling talisman, so he had prepared a statement long ago. Perhaps this sentence would make Ye Dongyang and the others consider the consequences of killing Zhang Zizai. However, it was just a consideration. After Ye Dongyang entangled the violent ape, Jing Qing and the others came forward. Stop, more than a dozen talisman generals attacked Zhang Zizai. It would be absolutely easy to capture or even kill him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 489. He is not stupid, how could he stand still? When Jing Qing and the others charged towards them in the form of swift black shadows with their majestic momentum, Zhang Zizai ignored the fact that the inanimate talisman was still creating the inanimate demonic body and quickly let the bell take him away. These people are crazy. He wanted to explain that after all, he had already recorded the image talisman during the process, but in this case, they would not give Zhang Zizai time to release the image talisman. Especially Jing Qing and Ning Suiyu, both of whom looked as if they had been beaten to death with ferocious expressions. Suffer death. Jing Qing came at a gallop and struck out with a palm. The ground in front of Zhang Zizai was overturned. Countless rocks and earth flipped up to the sky, and then fell with a crash. The other talisman generals went to the front, back, left, and right, and took action in shock. Zhang Zizai could only use all his strength to escape. Fortunately, Lingdang was sensible. Needless to say, Zhang Zizai, under the siege of the Fu generals, she took her father directly and shuttled out of the encirclement. In the blink of an eye, it was 60 feet away. The distance she moved in an instant was actually increasing all the time. Such an instant disappeared, allowing a group of talisman generals to pounce directly into the air. The huge movement attracted more people. When they heard that Zhang Zizai had killed Ye Chen, almost everyone was chasing Zhang Zizai. As soon as Zhang Zizai breathed a sigh of relief, several old men appeared in front of him. They were all Tianfu guards. They said nothing. He said, "Take action directly to buy time for Jing Qing and the others." Roar. When Zhang Zizai was in danger, the storm god ape was very angry. It had no intention of fighting with Ye Dongyang. Just when it was leaving the battle to protect Zhang Zizai, two more talisman kings appeared in front of its eyes, namely the Wind Erosion Talisman King and Lei Wen. King Fu, they rushed to Huoming Island for a banquet, and they hurried over after hearing the news. 10th grade origin beast, what on earth is going on? Zhou Yuan said angrily. Don't worry about it, help me kill it, Ye Dongyang said angrily. Ye Chen was killed by Zhang Zizai? Did he take away the Wuxian talisman? Yan Xiao took a look, and his expression became extremely shocked. What are you still doing? Hurry up and take action. Ye Dongyang, go and capture Zhang Zizai yourself. Don't let him escape. Zhou Yuan looked shocked and directly pulled Yan Xiao to intercept the violent ape and let Ye Dongyang do it himself. They were smart and knew that Zhang Zizai had the care of the ancient gods behind him. If they really wanted to kill him, they would let Ye Dongyang do it by himself. Anyway, it was his own disciple who died. Ye Dongyang had no time to argue with them. Without saying a word, he left the battle circle, locked Zhang Zizai's position, and galloped over. Before he arrived, Zhang Zizai had Jingqing and the others surrounded him. No matter how powerful Lingdang was, their people were everywhere, and it was still very difficult to escape. Bang! A talisman came from nowhere, and Zhang Zizai and Lingdang bumped into it. Their blood boiled and they fell to the ground. At the critical moment, he protected Lingdang, but such a strong shock also made Lingding a little injured. She was already frightened and was crying non-stop. Dad, Lingdang is scared, wow. Xiao Beilong couldn't help but shed tears. Zhang Zizai was also full of anger, but looking at the situation in front of them, they really didn't want him to leave alive. Jingqing, Ning Suiyu, Fan Dongliu, they all probably thought that their children had a chance, so they worked extra hard. On the battlefield in the distance, Ye Dongyang had already left the battle circle and was coming quickly. With Ye Dongyang's power, he didn't care what Zhang Zizai was up to, he arrived instantly and controlled Zhang Zizai before everyone else. It was a power beyond Zhang Zizai's understanding. With just one look, he made Zhang Zizai unable to move in front of him. It was like a kind of soul suppression. Zhang Zizai couldn't move, and neither could the bell. Her ability was not omnipotent, and she had no choice when facing the top being in the origin continent. Ye Dongyang took a look and saw that Zhang Zizai's inanimate demonic body had almost succeeded. This made him extremely depressed. Ye Chen needed the inheritance from the old talisman master. After spending so much effort from beginning to end, why did Zhang Zizai succeed immediately? Once he succeeds, you can only get the Wuxian talisman again by killing him. Originally, the inanimate talisman was passed down from generation to generation, but now it is interrupted and the inheritance is lost. It is difficult to find someone who can directly identify the inanimate talisman. You have such a vicious heart. Our life and death talisman sect treats you like this, but you are so mad that you kill the current Wuxian talisman master and snatch the Wuxian talisman. Zhang Zizai, no matter who is behind you, our life and death talisman sect is not where you can do whatever you want. Today, I will seek justice for Ye Chen. Whoever is behind you, come directly to me. His cold gaze stared into Zhang Zizai's eyes, and Zhang Zizai felt as if his scalp was numb and even his soul was being burned. Die. If he really took action, he would kill him without saying a word. A slap hit Zhang Zizai's Tianling Gai. At that moment, the crisis of death came again. This time even the immortal talisman could not take effect. Once he died, he was really dead. In this chaotic world, life and death are indeed on a thin line. However, the bell was still by her side. How could she watch her beloved father die in front of her? Zhang Zizai's eyes were also blood red. The violent ape could not save him, and even under the siege of the two talisman kings, the battle was in darkness, but he could not save himself. The inheritance of the inanimate talisman was almost successful. The inanimate talisman was completely used on him to create the inanimate demonic body. From now on, he will also be the inanimate talisman master. Unfortunately, the inanimate talisman cannot be used for the time being. After all, it has been used. It has happened once, and even if it is used, it will not be effective against an old senior like Ye Dongyang. Is God going to kill me? Between life and death, Even if he had evidence that Ye Chen was seeking death, Ye Dongyang would not look at it. He just wants life. It's difficult to escape now. That slap came right at the head. At this critical moment, the immortal talisman on his chest changed a little. It turned out that the small 1000 phantom array on it had changed. The small 1000 illusory array broke away from Zhang Zizai's body, and in the light of the electric stone fire, it was above Zhang Zizai's head. A shield was formed, and Ye Donjiang's fatal palm hit the shield. Boom! Zhang Zizai was blown away. A strong hand supported him, and then said in his ear, "Zhang Zizai, are you out of your mind? This is the voice of Tianya, he has finally arrived. Do you have short legs? They have been here for a long time and you just came. If it were any later, I would have died." Zhang Zizai breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Tianya speechlessly. "My Tianya island is far away from here, okay," Tianya gritted his teeth. Ye Dongyang was already chasing him. He blocked the front and asked anxiously, "Why did you kill Ye Chen? If you can't explain the reason, I will protect you today. I can't stop you." After all, his position is the life and death talisman section. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 490. The current scene can be described as exciting, with ups and downs. Many Fu sect disciples arrived and looked at all this with dumbfounded eyes. Here, the Tianya Talisman King and the Yehuo Talisman King are facing each other. One wants to kill and the other wants to protect. Over there, two Talisman Kings were fighting against a golden divine ape. It was said that it was a 10th grade origin beast. The fighting there was huge. The two Talisman Kings could be said to have used all their strength to fight the origin beast, which was earth-shattering. Half a fire cloud, the island was almost completely destroyed, with desolate ruins everywhere and large tracts of buildings collapsed. The violent ape was violent and ferocious, and the Fu sect disciples who had just arrived hurriedly hid on the other side, only daring to watch the battle from a distance and not daring to get close. The news that Zhang Zizai had killed Ye Chen and snatched the Wuxian talisman had spread throughout Fuhai, causing even more shock than during the day. For a moment, almost all Fuhai disciples moved towards this direction with anger and nervousness. "Tianya, get out of the way." Ye Donjiang's voice was cold, and he was already bullying him step by step. "There's a lot of problems here. It's not too late to figure things out first before taking action," King Tianyafu said. Ye Dongyang didn't care. He only had murderous intent in his eyes and suppressed it again. This time with Tianya protecting him, Zhang Zizai escaped unscathed. "Tianya, you are betraying the life and death talisman sect. Do you want your ancestors to despise you?" Ye Dongyang said solemnly. "King Tianyafu, please think twice. King Fu, you are right to love, but don't lose your conscience," Jing Qing said. His words were echoed by many people. Tianya withstood the pressure and looked back at Zhang Zizai. "I have the image talisman, which can explain everything that happened." Zhang Zizai did not disappoint him. Not only did he have the image talisman, but he also made several copies to save during their confrontation. "Don't let them destroy it and deny it. Take it out." Tianya got the image talisman and said directly, "You don't need to be filled with righteous indignation. We are doing business. Let's give some time to play the image talisman. Don't worry, Zhang Zizai can't escape. If he gets crazy, I will be the first to let him go." With his words, everyone stopped being angry. In fact, Tianya was also betting that Zhang Zizai would not be so stupid and do such stupid things. Ye Dongyang also stopped. He could afford the time of an image talisman. How can there be any doubt about killing people and seizing treasures? This is an ironclad fact, and no image talisman can change it. In Tianya's hand, the image talisman began to play, and everyone gathered around to watch. If the image talisman could not explain anything, Zhang Zizai would indeed be unable to fly. In the sight of everyone, Zhang Zizai started recording ever since he arrived on Fire Cloud Island. I said last time that Ye Chen took away my things. I was not lying. During the day, he asked me to come to Xuanhuan Island tonight. He is willing to return the things to me. Zhang Zizi added that he was angry the purpose of Cloud Island. However, no one listened to him because everyone believed that he came to kill people and seize treasures. As a result, what happened next in the image talisman was beyond their expectations. When they first met, Ye Chen couldn't wait to use the Wuxian talisman to kill people. Zhang Zizai couldn't resist it, so the violent god ape came out and controlled Ye Chen. From beginning to end, Zhang Zizai didn't make a move. But in the end, Ye Chen died tragically, and Zhang Zizai took away the Wuxian talisman when he was about to leave. This is true. It's just that anyone with a discerning eye can see that Ye Chen's death was caused by his own death, and he couldn't blame Zhang Zizai. People looked shocked and confused as they looked at everything in the image talisman. How is that possible? Jing Qing's face turned pale. Zhang Zizai took away the Wuxian talisman and kept it for himself. He obviously wanted to hide it. This is absolutely true, Ning Suiyu said. If it were you, the Wuxian talisman would be in front of you, and you wouldn't be able to take it, Zhang Zizai retorted. Of course I don't. This is the treasure of the Talisman of Life and Death sect. And not only do you take it, you also inherit it, Ning Suiyu said. How did I know that this Wuxian talisman was so easy to inherit? During the day, Ye Chen didn't go through a lot of hard work before the old talisman master succeeded in inheriting it. I just did it casually, but I didn't know that it was successful immediately. So far, his inanimate demonic body has been completely created, and the inanimate talisman has been completely integrated into his body. Zhang Zizai glanced at Ye Dongyang. He looked at Zhang Zizai with a gloomy look, wondering how many murderous intentions he had left. Ye Dongyang, what do you think of this fact? It seems that Ye Chen is looking for death, right? Tianya said it directly. It's strange that he wants to kill me. I have no enmity with him, so why did he bring me here? Zhang Ziyu naturally wanted to fight for it between life and death. Now, people can't shout to kill him. Ye Dongyang did not answer, but on the other side, the two Fu kings did not care what happened here and went all out. Zhang Zizai did not notice that the violent ape was killed, and the body fell to the ground with a crash. Zhang Zizai's heart ached, what a pity. He also plans to let the violent ape take him deep into the world of evolution. As a result, he was killed before he even started to use it. These two talisman kings are really ruthless in their attacks. Anger is anger, at least he won't die now. He wanted to see what they wanted to do with him under such circumstances. At this time, the beast-controlling talisman flew over and landed on Zhang Zizai's palm, gluing into it. The other two talisman kings came up panting, their faces gloomy. One of them, Zhou Yuan, said, Ye Chen died because of you, and you took away the immortal talisman privately. The death penalty can be avoided, but the living crime cannot be escaped. First, hand over the inanimate talisman and the talisman immortal talisman, and then enter the hell of fire. Excuse me, Talisman King, how can I hand over these two talismans if I am not dead? Zhang Zizai asked back. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content below. This made Zhou Yuan speechless. She didn't know about the immortal talisman, but the immortal talisman could be passed on. You should pass on the immortal talisman to my disciples of the immortal talisman system first, she said. Who can have the qualification to inherit the immortal talisman system? I think no one can do it. Zhang Zizai hit the pain again. Jing Xian can try, Jing Qing said. He? Haha, Zhang Zizai laughed, and his meaning was very clear, Jing Xian, no. In such a situation, I am afraid that Ye Dongyang himself does not have the best way to deal with it in his heart. Please come in, Old Talisman Master Tianya looked into the distance and saluted quickly. The supreme existence of the Talisman Sea finally arrived. He stood outside the crowd with his hands behind his back, looking at Zhang Zizai with an extremely excited expression. Beast Taming Talisman, where did you get it? The Old Talisman Master said in shock. He saw it. 6 great divine talismans, beast-controlling talismans, everyone exclaimed. You got it in the Sea of Talismans, the Old Talisman Master said before Zhang Zizai could answer. Zhang Zizai could only nod. 6 great divine talismans, 3 types gathered together. 3 great divine talismans gathered in one body. Life and death are united, the Master of Life and Death Talismans, reappears in the world. God bless my Life and Death Talisman sect. People never expected that the Old Talisman Master would burst into tears. When people were stunned and looked at all this, no one noticed that a lot of black liquid flowed out of Yechen's body. The liquid flowed on the dry ground, but did not moisten the ground, but finally gathered in the Sea of Talismans, and finally turned into a human-shaped water ball. The water ball looked at the direction of Huayun Island, smiled strangely again, and then merged into the Sea of Talismans, and disappeared.